Well, Ma, I can see that you are both a star and an actor. I would like to know why did you leave your corporate job in the 1970s to pursue an acting career? Did you feel a calling to it, or did you just feel like, let me try this out, and and eventually it worked?
It's a long story. I'm an accidental actor, actually.
Lion and the Jewel.
Yeah, I didn't know I was an actor. Yeah, he's dead now. His name was Yemi Ajibade, God rest his soul. He was toasting me. And one day they were rehearsing Lion and the Jewel, the premiere of Lion and the Jewel at the Royal Court Theatre. And I thought, well, after work, I was a civil servant in England, I would go take him for coffee. And I was sitting in the foyer, and the director walked past and asked whether I was an actor. In those days, I used to be very sharp. Oh, so sharp.
Oh, you still are. You still are.
And he came, and I said, no, I'm waiting for him. I said, would I like to join? Every year when I was in England, I took a holiday. I went to take one course or the other, and I said to myself, this must be what I was meant to do for that year. So I got to the office the following day, and I asked my boss if I could get a temporary assistant to take over from me while I went on my holiday. So I called for my holiday early and went to do this production. And we opened. And as in Nigeria, a star was born. And at the door, dressing room door, were people from the BBC and agents. I was signed on that night by Premier Management, Elizabeth Allen Jeffreys, her name was. I hope she's still alive. So the following week, I was at the BBC with Mr. John Smith, producer there. And then I started getting jobs. And after that, Lumumba's Conor Cruz O'Brien, who was Assistant Secretary General to Dag Hammarskjöld of the UN, they murdered Lumumba. And his play, Murderous Angels, was based on the shenanigans, the UN shenanigans, and how they killed Lumumba. And I played Pauline Lumumba. There was no dialogue for me. And I begged them that, you know, when somebody died like that in my place, we would give wakekeeping, we'll give away. Oh, they didn't think anything of it. They said, well, you go ahead. So Glenna Foster-Jones, who was another actor in the production, Sierra Leonean she was, said, so we've concocted a scene. Candles, lantern, and everything. And I did a dirge that I heard when I was young of itinerant players who were always rehearsing on the other side of the fence to our house. Never saw them, never laid their eyes on them at all. But there is a song that they used to sing that caught my fancy, and I always had it, and I sang that. Abogunrin ọkọ mi ológun ẹrú, abogunrin ọkọ mi ọlọ́gbọ̀n wọ̀fà, abogunrin ọkọ mi abirú ẹṣin tìọ̀mí. Bógun bá tọ̀tún wá oko, bógun jà fẹ́rẹ̀kún fẹ́. The man who was trying to marry me in those days, Mr. Lycett, flew all the way from London to Dublin to see the show. After the show, he called me. We went to dinner, and he said, you got to give up this corporate nonsense you're doing, corporate thing you're doing. I know you, I'm quoting here, I know you're multi-talented. You're multi-dimensional. You should stick with acting, because when you came on stage, you could hear a feather drop. The following morning,
such a powerful
bit player I was. The following month, talking about stardom, the following morning, I was center stage.
Wow.
All the big names and big guns that were in there, I took over
everything.
Yeah. by evoking Nigeria and talking about how ideologically engaged I am about what we do in projecting us. They didn't know what I was talking about, but they got the message that night. And I was opening pubs, going to visit motherless children's home. I was effectively no part of Lumumba's wife, who didn't speak French, didn't speak whatever. And that's how I became an actor. And so my husband-to-be said, "You got to forget the fact you are an actor," which was a surprise to me. So I started working, and I thought I became an imposter. I felt an imposter. One of these days, they were going to catch me out. They're going to find me out. They've got to know that I am a fraud. I had to better train. That's a Nigerian thing. We got to train. We got to have the quali. Got to have the certificate. I must go train, even though I was in demand. So I went to train. I went into a flurry of training. I spent a fortune on myself, dancing and everything. In a dance class at Covent Garden, Opera House Covent Garden, in a Wagner opera, the producer came to the class to dance center where I was training, picked me up to dance in Tannhauser, Wagner's Tannhauser. That's how it happened. And then I was doing rep. And repertory, you start honing your skills, working like that at that level. And then it went and went, and they come to see you. That's how I got, some mothers do have them.
Yes.
General Hospital, and so on and so forth.
Father's Clinic.
Yeah. That's how I became an actor. So that I had an ambition, I had no thought of it at all. So my husband said, "Look, if it's the money you're making," because I was earning decent, so if it's the money, I'll put some money in your account every month. You go train, be an actor.